What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're here for our first Madden 24 realistic rebuild of the season. And what better starting point than the New England Patriots? And I'm going to be honest, I made a poll on Twitter, at PapaXC4. Throw me a follow as to which team we should do. Kind of have like a three-way tie between the Patriots, the Giants, and the Bears. Maybe slight edge towards the Bears, but I want to start this video with the Bears, obviously. Very interesting, especially from a realistic rebuild standpoint, because you have all those top draft picks. Let me know in the comments now, because I think I'll make the Bears our second video. But let me know, do we stick with Justin Fields, or do we trade Justin Fields? Because that is such a big decision to make, where I think both of those scenarios are probably worth of, their own type of rebuild. But for our first attempt, I need to know what you guys want to see. Do you want me to see me to build around a team with Justin Fields, or do you want to see me trade Justin Fields, whatever draft compensation we can get back in return, and then draft a quarterback? And, obviously that kind of puts you in line with maybe you go Marvin Harrison, Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, Drake Maye, Marvin Harrison, Jaden Daniels, whatever you want to kind of break it down. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see for a Bears realistic rebuild. Stay with Fields or trade Fields. That's all we need to know. But the draft classes are ready. We got Bengals 2024 draft class. We got my 2025 draft class. We are going to be able to absolutely put in a whole lot of work here and get some realistic draft class. And I feel like with the New England Patriots, it seems like a lot of people are selling on Bill Belichick right now. There's reports that he could retire. There's reports that he could get fired. There's reports they could trade him for a future draft pick. We are going to get a second win in the career of the greatest head coach of all time. I think it's safe to say. And we got ourselves an outstanding draft class to do so. We are going to have a very, very good pick, probably top 5 at worst. Doesn't help that once I play a little bit of catch up here, we are going to have to force that win that we saw last night or Thursday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is another win away, putting us out of spot for one of these top quarterbacks. But that's fine. We're going to weather the storm there a little bit. And, we're going to see what we can do here. We've got some top quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye. Both those guys would look great in a Patriots uniform. But if we play ourselves out of contention, the top 5 pick, still got Jaden Daniels, Carson Beck, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. I think really you got 7 quarterbacks that make a pretty interesting scenario of guys that could go on to change a franchise and be a franchise quarterback. We have other positions outside of quarterback. When you look at the New England Patriots, it's really the quarterback spot that we need to figure out badly, figure out quickly. Things have not been great post Tom Brady here in New England, and we are going to have to do a hell of a job. And I already know we're going to get someone like Brock Bowers, and Bill Belichick is going to have to hold back every urge he can to get a tight end. Bill Belichick, Brock Bowers somehow will come and be like, man, we can just get a new Gronk, something like that. He's just, don't do it. You need a quarterback first. See someone that can get the ball to a Brock Bowers. You're not in that spot. So hopefully we can find a way to get a quarterback out of this draft class. Before we preview the roster, however, I'm going to give you a quick rundown about what sets realistic rebuilds apart from just like the regular rebuilds that we usually tend to do outside of using 2 full draft classes. Over 900 real players from college are about to be seen here today, but there's other things in terms of settings that are a little bit different in a realistic rebuild. On the settings here, the trade difficulty is going to be set to hard. Now, in regular rebuilds, when we want to trade up in the draft, usually the most common way, I can almost always get my way, for the most part, of packaging future picks and all these different little deals to go up and select. Usually it's a guy that looks like he could be generational. That is going to be still technically on the board, but very difficult to do here. We're also going to make sure that the free agent motivation impact is as difficult as it is. We're not going to be able just to throw enough money at every single player and get them to sign and come here and buy into the Patriot way. We're going to have to find guys that generally want to come to New England and play for Bill Belichick. So that is going to make it a little bit interesting there. We do have injuries off just because, there's always been the narrative, if you're doing a realistic rebuild, you should have injuries on. And then I did one 50-some minute video where every year, like a star player got hurt. We never had a shot. So, that's one thing that, you tote the line in a realistic rebuild. In a perfect world, you could run injuries. But the reality is we're trying to still make entertaining content. And with the RNG of injuries, it's just one of those things. Like, what if I did a 5-year rebuild with the Patriots? We ended up getting all these fun players, and they just got hurt every single year. It doesn't feel like it's satisfying in the end. So the one thing that we kind of tote the line is with injuries. We toggle them off. And the last piece of business is usually for my rebuilds, I max all these out just so you don't get the ridiculous regression. Like I'm usually 75 out of 75, 100 out of 100, 500 out of 500. We're going to leave these a default right now. So there is going to be some dev trait regression. And I'm sure you're going to hear me complain about it when it is very unjust. But that is a challenge that we're going to embrace. And atop on the modified settings, we're going to use Mr. Hurricane's progression and regression sliders here. I haven't really been able to utilize these a whole lot because I am testing them the first time in my Cardinals franchise. And we're just entering our second offseason right now, which FYI, that offseason episode, I'm going to try to get it out this weekend. We get the big Dallas game on Sunday. So it's likely I'm pushing it Monday, Tuesday. We will have the offseason for the Arizona Cardinals. But that's just, we're only 2 years in. Not really enough to see the true progression and regression rate. So I think we're going to find out a little bit more here in this rebuild, really just where these sliders fall at. But I trust his testing, absolutely. You can just Google, YouTube, Mr. Hurricane, Madden 24 XP sliders if you want to get your hands on this set. He kind of explains and did a bunch of testing. So, hey, these are the most realistic XP sliders. Why not have them in a realistic rebuild? After defeating the Steelers, 3 touchdowns, Bailey Zappi looks legit. We need to get back on track and commit to the tank, right? Trust the process. We got matchups against the Chiefs and Bills in the upcoming stretch. Like, those should be L's. And for our lineup, I'm trying to close out this season, not with the idea of putting our best team out there, but putting our best young lineup out there to maximize the development, to maximize the XP. Offensive line is pretty much our best. I love the fact rookie City Sal, Canadian, has kind of been holding his own there for them, so optimistic that he's going to be here for the full 5 years. Kind of a toss-up in the tight ends, but Gesicki's a little bit younger, so we're going to give him the advantage. Plus, we have to decide which one of these two we want to re-sign, and I'm probably going to lean towards Mike Gesicki if we decide to keep any of them. Zeke Elliott is a higher rating than Ramondre Stevenson, but Ramondre Stevenson is 25. He's the future of this backfield, so we need to continue to force feed hit carries. We just signed Juju Smith-Schuster, so we need to maximize TikTok boys reps. But we got Tyquan Thornton. See if he can kind of catch on as a deep threat. But Demario Douglas is a very interesting. I'm surprised he's only a 71. I think you've asked most Patriot fans, they're like, let's get a new franchise quarterback in the draft, and we got a great young weapon in Demario Douglas who could potentially be a guy. So that is one of my goals here in this realistic rebuild, is to get Demario Douglas into a viable weapon for this Patriots offense. Obviously, it's going to start by trying to get him to go up a dev trait. Too little, too late to, I think, achieve that here this season. But I think next year, making him our starting slot wide receiver, I think this Patriots offense is a scheme that the slot wide receiver eats. That is going to be one of our targets. But the biggest decision here is you just saw Bailey Zappi, IRL, throw 3 touchdowns, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Looks legit. I won a lot of money when Bailey Zappi was at Western Kentucky in college. But with the idea that ideally, if everything goes well, we're going to be able to draft a quarterback. We need to just have Mac Jones out there, get as much XP, boost up his overall as much as we can before the offseason, because we're going to have to try to trade him. I don't know what kind of value we can get for Mac Jones. I would say without sliders on, where we up the trade difficulty sliders to hard, I could probably find a way to get like a second-round pick for Mac Jones. With the sliders bumped up for trade difficulty, I'm going to be optimistic. 3rd rounder, maybe a 4th rounder, but we'll be able to get something for Mac Jones and move on and get some value ahead of the draft. Defense, same kind of idea. Play the young players. Christian Gonzalez, because we have injuries off, he's going to be able to contribute and play a little bit down the stretch. Not going to make a big difference. Might get an extra overall point, but I mean, he looks ridiculous. He looks like a bona fide superstar. I don't know what the league was doing, allowing Christian Gonzalez to fall all the way down to Bill Belichick and the Patriots. And speaking just of the corners itself, we have Marcus Jones here, young dynamic player, played a little bit of offense, but he's going to be our starting slot just to get more XP there. Same with Keon White on the defensive line. Not nearly as good as Dietrich Weiss in terms of overall, but the upside is immense. I want him getting on the field as much as we possibly can. Same for the linebacking core. Had to make a slight adjustment. Tavai is listed as a right outside linebacker. Pretty sure, I mean, he has at least anyways played inside. So I'm going to kick him inside so that it gets Josh Uche more reps, see if he can develop as a young pass rusher. And we were 3 deep originally at strong safety. Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, and Mapu. So what I did is, obviously Peppers is a very versatile player. Kicked him to free safety. He might actually be the top guy I want to try to re-sign here in just 1 second. But we kicked him to free safety. We're going to have Kyle Duggar at strong safety. And Mapu, especially on a defense that doesn't have a whole lot of really good young players. Like, you want that hidden dev rookie to get his reps. So what we did do is I made Kyle Duggar a starting sub linebacker with Tavai. So that is going to allow Mapu in base defense. He will be our starting strong safety when Duggar goes into linebacker. So that is where he is going to get his reps. But ultimately, we just need to commit to our young guys, get as much out of this burn season that we can possibly get, and hope for a really, really big offseason. The $100 million of salary cap. Here we go. Who's getting paid? Who are we keeping? Well, first we have Owenu at right tackle. He's looking for a 4-year deal. I'm actually going to give him 5. So that, he's here. And what we're doing with these rebuilds, it's kind of we do 5 years. Should we count this first year, even though we're starting at week 10, as one of our 5 years? I've always kind of ended up doing that. But in reality, that means we only really have 4 true years of realistic rebuild. So I think what I'm going to do, and this is obviously going to be a case-by-case, video-by-video basis, is ideally, we're going to count this, whatever starting point halfway through the year, as year 1 of a 5-year rebuild. But if it comes year 5 with this method and we lose, but I think we're really close, or I'm very frustrated, we can then maybe just say, screw it, cash in, do a 6th season so that it gives us 5 full years of rebuild. So it will be a case-by-case basis, because if we can get it done and win a Super Bowl with this first kind of half season starting and counting as one of our 5, we'll cash in there. But there will obviously be a case-by-case basis. So that being said, we'll give 4. You know what, though? We still get, either way, let's give 5 years here to Owenu. Plug and play. Kyle Duggar, versatile player. I'd like to give him 3. I feel like that's after that 3, you might start facing a little bit of regression. Mike Gesicki, I don't really like 4 years for Mike Gesicki, but I do like 3 years a little bit more. So we'll give him a 3-year deal, and we'll pick him over Hunter Henry. Maybe if there was a viable playbook where you could have 2 tight ends, absolutely eat. I would do that. It's just that doesn't exist in Madden, or at least I have not found a playbook where you can have 2 tight ends that get like 400 to 600 yards combined, 10 plus touchdowns combined. It just doesn't happen unless you're getting cute with it and moving your tight end to the slot or something like that, which I think I did that once in a Falcons rebuild with Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts. And I don't know. It was just a little weird. We got Josh Uche, who has a whole lot of upside. I want to give him a 5-year. I wonder if we can get a little bit of a bargain deal here. We'll go 5-year, $30 million for a 24-75 pass rusher who, especially if he can start popping off a little bit, that upside, he could be in the 80s, and we're going to have a very, very reasonable contract towards the end. We have Trent Brown looking for a 2-year contract. I mean, what does a player-friendly, because I think we're going to have to go in the area of a player-friendly deal. 3 years, he wants a little bit more. You know my mantra, to ride your lineman into the ground. Obviously at 87. Should regress if he does gracefully. I want to stay with some of the younger guys there at wide receiver. But Kendrick Bourne, like if we can get Kendrick Bourne back on a 1-year deal, might not be the worst thing having some depth. He doesn't want that contract. So I think all in all, come back to the table with Trent Brown. Everybody else, thank you for your service. Don't need you no more. Are you kidding me? I have super teams that can't beat the Chiefs. Just beat the Chiefs. 20-14. What? How? These need to be L's. These need to be absolute loss after loss after loss after loss to close this year. And we somehow beat the freaking Chiefs, dude, in our first line in overtime. And he played like shit. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks for Mac Jones in what has got to be one of the upsets of the year. 83 yards and a tutty. So committing to the young players. Clearly having a benefit. Look, Tyquan Thornton eating. We're already having some influence. See, like, if you had to put like a little storyline to it, Bill Belichick has clearly lost a little bit as far as general manager is concerned, right? Team has not been built right. So I'm coming in to handle the GM spot. Bill Belichick's going to coach. And it seems like me, of my influence here, shifting the lineup around, was able to inspire these guys to break we're trying to tank and get a good pick. No! Because trading's hard. These wins are going to cost, like, for me to even move up 1 or 2 spots, how many wins we get to close out this year is going to cost us in terms of draft position to get a quarterback. It's going to be that much more difficult for me to trade up 1 or 2 spots to get said quarterback. These losses are, sorry way to put it, incredibly painful. Trent Brown still playing hardball. We increased our offer for Trent Brown by another $700,000. And he hits us with the "I dare you to franchise tag me" response. Now, usually when you're talking with a 30-year-old player that's playing hardball, probably almost any other position outside the offensive line, I'm going to be like, all right, got to move on. Got to move on. He wants to go to a contender. Doesn't want to buy in the rebuild. When he talks to the offensive line, like, I want him for 3 more years so he's 33. From 30 to 33, he's still going to be a very good left tackle. We got a tough call to make here. They close out the year. Oh my God. Thanks, guys. Another win to close the year out in a nothing game against the Jets. So awesome. Yeah. Gives us 5 on the year. Not like we're trying to lose. Shout out the Eagles going 15-2. So we have the 3rd overall pick in the draft. I'm optimistic Carolina's not going to draft a quarterback, right? Optimistic. Could happen. It's Madden. Optimistic. Cardinals, probably 50-50 that they'll draft. Like, so we're still in a really good spot to get at least one of the quarterbacks. If not, have a shot and make a decision between any of them. But on top of a rant that I had in my last video where I rebuilt the Texans with C.J. Stroud, the Panthers with Bryce Young, and we swapped them. So you had Bryce Young on the Texans, C.J. Stroud on the Panthers. Yeah, go check it out. Awesome video. One of my best thumbnails I think I've made all year. And I just basically had a big rant in there saying we need to take a stand. The number one thing that we need fixed in Madden 25, above all, above extra creation features, expansion, relocation, the number one thing as a community that we need to demand is, and we need to get the same hype around this, is the same, those clowns that are like, we need the Pro Bowl in it. Pro Bowl needs to be in franchise. Fuck the Pro Bowl. We need this whole mode to get off playbooks being the reason why you win or lose. The fact that I could go into a draft an X-Factor quarterback, sign a 99 Tyreek Hill wide receiver in free agency, and that wouldn't be as strong in terms of improving my team than just going and changing my playbook to the Kansas City Chiefs or Dallas Cowboys offense. That is the biggest issue with Madden franchise mode, and this mode is always going to be capped as long as they stay on playbooks trumping all. That has to be the number one thing as a community we get behind for the top fix for Madden 25. Now, secondary, number 2, could very well be more customization, more expansion, more relocation. Yes. The third thing needs to be in this exact situation right here. I am calm. I'm sitting here at pick 3 laughing. I'm going to get, for almost certainty, a shot at one of these quarterbacks. When in reality, this should be a terrifying spot to be, because I should be looking over my shoulder that the Giants are going to be aggressive during this offseason and trade up to leapfrog us to get a quarterback. I should be worried that the Raiders, that the is it too early to say Steelers, that the Bucks, that any of these teams are going to trade up ahead of us and get in a spot to draft a quarterback. That just doesn't happen in Madden. We need to see aggressive AI trades, be it on draft day to move up in the first round, be it at the trade deadline to trade for a superstar player. The fact that none of that exists in a franchise mode, that's a must. That is one of the big features we need to see in Madden 25. But because that doesn't exist, we're sitting here at pick 3 feeling pretty decent about our shot here at getting a big-time quarterback prospect. Now, before we look at our stats, one other thing I want to highlight is I saw this Phil Staff thing. Is one, because I had to recreate Bill Belichick. Unfortunately, we don't have, Bill Belichick should have almost all these trees maxed out by now, so I'm kind of starting from the beginning. But our OC has the quarterback talent tree already. I don't have to go fire and find a cheesy one, and obviously that is what gives your quarterback +3 short, 3 mid, 3 deep, +3 throw power. So that is already huge. We got that going for us for regardless of what we do at the quarterback spot. So that is pretty good. In closing, for our bottom 3 team, here's where our stats are at. More so just to see what we did for the remaining of the sim games here. Mac Jones did go up another overall point, so that's going to help him when we throw him on the trade market. 3,700 yards, 21 touchdowns to 14 picks. Not a brutal season, but obviously not a great season. Not a quarterback of the future type season for sure, but maybe helps give him a little bit of trade value this offseason. Ramondre Stevenson, 800 yards, 7 touchdowns. Splitting reps with Zeke Elliott. You know, if he would have got full RB1 carries all year, would have went over 1,000. Optimistic that will be the case. Kendrick Bourne was our leading receiver, 6-4 for Juju, 4-4 for Hunter Henry, 380 for Devontae Parker, 360 for Demario Douglas, guy that we are going to put in a big-time position to make plays for us next year in this rebuild. Do we have anyone that didn't give up a sack all year? That'd be kind of cool. Look at that. Michael Wenu did not give up a sack the whole season, and only 1 sack allowed by City Cell. Really, really good numbers there for this offensive line. And oddly enough, the guy that doesn't want to stay here and wants more money was our biggest liability in terms of protecting the passer. Defensively, Kyle Duggar, over 100 tackles, 5 TFLs, a sack, and 3 picks. Devy also went over 100 tackles, 1 tackle short for Jabril Peppers. We also had a really nice year, 4 TFLs, 3 interceptions. On the sack front, 12.5 sacks, 11 TFLs from Matt Judon, who is probably going to be here until he retires. Big-time pass rusher, produces even when he starts to regress down to the 70s. But outside of that, don't have a secondary pass rusher. So we are going to be looking at quarterback. Definitely something we need to kind of eye in there. We did pay Josh Uche, so maybe, give give him just one full season. Maybe hold off on getting a pass rusher this offseason, unless maybe someone falls to us in the draft, and give him a real opportunity to start the whole year and see what he can do. Interceptions, 4 picks. Gonzalez, 3 from Duggar, 3. I mean, Gonzalez, that he's going to be absolutely, if you look at the entirety of the defense, this is the one guy that is going to be like the face of our defense, I think, especially come around year 4 and year 5 of this rebuild. Did we have anyone that get yearly awards? Maybe Gonzalez in the Rookie of the Year. Jalen Hurts wins MVP, which he probably is going to win an MVP in real life. AFC, Lamar Jackson, Defensive Player of the Year. Let's just kind of just look for Patriots here, if we have any of them. I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of defensive. It does actually go to Christian Gonzalez, so that should be a juicy dev trait scenario. Keon White makes the short list there. For the rest of the awards, Ramondre makes top 10 running backs, just barely. That feels like a sympathy vote, for being realistic. Owenu, no sacks, probably should be higher, honestly, if starting right tackle because of 0 sacks the whole season. Put a little more respect on his name. We have Matt Judon making just outside the top 5 for linebackers. In the secondary, Kyle Duggar at 5, Jabril Peppers at 6, Gonzalez at 7. So we're very, very optimistic about this secondary going forward. Also shout out Kyle Duggar, only guy that makes the Pro Bowl. Shout out to him. Also love seeing the fact Christian Gonzalez, with his Defensive Rookie of the Year, goes up to a superstar dev, which, watching him play this season, arguably should be superstar dev out the box. I think you look at him, I think you can look at Jalen Carter, who eventually got bumped up to a superstar, but originally was a star. I think Gonzalez, Jalen Carter, Brian Branch, like those guys, odd man. I'd say all 3 of those guys deserve just be base superstar dev. We have a bunch of retirements. None of these guys really, Al Woods and Riley Reid both had mentorship tags, so give us a little bit of an extra XP boost. But for the most part, I'm just happy that we have a gigantic influx of salary cap. We're currently sitting at $70 million, which makes it that much more realistic that we can just franchise tag Trent Brown, which I think is what we're going to be leaning towards. As the Dallas Cowboys wins the Super Bowl, it's a little bit cringe, but kind of is what it is. And looking at our roster, as far as dev traits are concerned, up and or down. On the offense, no one went up or down, and because obviously we're running with different numbers here in terms of the max amount of dev trait players, star, superstar, and X Factor, I am expecting a lot more regression than what we usually see in my regular rebuilds. But I think the big one is Mac Jones didn't have a great year. I thought there might be a chance he rolls and lose that star dev, goes down to a normal, which might make him a little bit more difficult to trade. But that does not seem the case. On the defensive side of the ball, Judon X Factor. Love seeing that. Duggar up to superstar. Peppers up to superstar. Gonzalez up to superstar. Yes. All that is great going into year 2 of this rebuild. We get our first mock draft. And Brock Bowers at 1. Lot to it. So, look, we're going to have our shot at whatever quarterback. Obviously, this is not realistic, but it is putting us at a spot here where we're going to have our pick at QB, which is, couldn't ask for much more. Now we just got more so to decide, do we want Caleb Williams or do we want Drake Maye? And I think I know if Bill Belichick had a choice between either one, which direction he would go. And I'm probably going to go that direction. For the offseason, we're going to start by picking up the 5th-year option for Mac Jones just so that it gives us the option to trade him. And maybe that might make him more appealing to teams, knowing that you got that extra year. And then for Trent Brown, because we do have a gigantic influx of salary cap, and he did regress 2, but if he regresses 2 again, still going to be an 80. Anytime we get an 80-plus offensive lineman, I think you're pretty happy with that. And because we're going with quarterback, ideally in the early round here, and not a Fashanu or a Joe Alt tackle, it's going to make that much more valuable to have Trent Brown here. So I will franchise tag him, even if it does hamper how aggressive we can be on the open market here in our first free agency period. I'm going to trim a little fat on the roster. However, you will be spared if you have a mentorship tag. Realistic rebuild. I'm not just thinking about dollar and cents. Lawrence Guy here would free up almost another $3 million, but I'm getting extra XP for a young defensive end here in Christian Barmore. So there is still some value there for the team. However, you look at something like Dietrich Weiss, who's just really in the way of Keon White getting on the field. We'll see if we can get some value here from the trade market. What do we got? Riley, oof. Let's be honest, that is a Bill Belichick trade right there. Tommy Brown, Kendrick Green on the offensive line, not bad. You know what? That's a Bill Belichick trade right there, if you know what I mean. We're gonna do that one. So we're gonna go with a kind of modest first free agency period, and you can definitely see the hard difficulty with the amount of just straight red off the rip in terms of players who want to be interested. So what I did go is we sent a max offer to Gabe Davis. the most player-friendly deal you can. Puts us in competition there with Detroit, but all things equal with how low that interest meter is. A little worried. I got Jack Gibbons. I mean, I tried as a depth linebacker. He's gone. And I got Zonovan Knight just because we only have one running back on the roster. But I do think a lot of our damage is going to have to be done during the draft. Gabe Davis would be our big fish if we can find a way to get him. What do we use, Zonovan Knight? Come on, it's a good deal right there, buddy. Oh, shit, we got Gabe Davis. Okay, big play Gabe. Jumps over from the Bills to be a wide receiver 1 for the Patriots. It's a style of player we don't really have because we do want to phase out Devontae Parker. He's kind of washed. And as soon as we get his contract off the books, we will. But Gabe Davis, Demario Douglas, Juju Smith-Schuster, plus potentially something in the draft is going to give our young rookie quarterback just some weapons. We'd be doing a disservice if we got a new quarterback and went in with the exact wide receivers we had this year. So my low offers didn't really come in to kind of finish out free agency. I did get Colby Parkinson because we only have one tight end on the roster. I think he's pretty solid there for the Seattle Seahawks. But I had a bunch of low offers. No one really entertained them. Looking at some of the big signings around the league, Tony Pollard ends up going to the Rams. Hollywood Brown to the Texans. I don't think there's a lot of like crazy. It wasn't a stacked free agency class. Like a lot of these veterans, are these guys really moving the needle for the team that they signed? Probably not. Clowney there. We got Jordan Brooks going to the Texans. He was a big fish at the linebacker spot. Van Ginkel to the Falcons. Gilmore to the Falcons. Zool to the Raiders. A couple corners here or there. Geno Stone capitalized on, a 5-6 pick season with the Ravens. Going to the Panthers. Jordan Poyer to the Jets. But for the most part, not a crazy free agent period. Very happy that we got the second highest rated one. So then the most recent mock draft, the final mock draft, kind of the order they're going to Brock Bowers, tight end, going 1. What is he, Marcus House? This rate, but look, we're still going to have our shot at our quarterback. We did 2 of our 3 focus scouting on the 2 QBs. Both look ridiculous. Drake Maye, top 5 talent. Caleb Williams, top 5 talent. But I think for what Bill Belichick's looking for, I just take this for what it's worth. I just don't see Bill Belichick ever having the patience for a Caleb Williams style quarterback. Well, therefore, I do think as long as he is on the board at pick 3, our new franchise quarterback right here. We're going to pause the draft because after we make this move, I think we're going to have to make a corresponding trade. Your new quarterback for the New England Patriots. The last hurrah for Bill Belichick out of North Carolina. 6'4", 220 pounds. We got 4 A's across the board. Nice athletic ability. Elite arm strength. Elite strength. Good speed. Good acceleration. We are selecting Drake Maye out of North Carolina. Whoa! Okay, this went through. Didn't think it was going to go through. We are on hard trade. Maybe I'm underselling what I'm giving up here. Because I was expecting at worst. I was like, all right, they're not going to take a 4th. I'm going to have to give up a 3rd round pick. But I was able to get it for 4th. So what I did is I threw Mac Jones on the trade block. Only team that was interested was the Rams. Like, well, the Rams do need a quarterback. Rams also don't care about draft picks. So like, all right, let's make a deal here with the Rams. So what I've done is we have packaged Mac Jones, 75, star-dev quarterback, 25 years old. Jonathan Jones, 80, star-dev corner, and our 4th round pick this year to get the 2nd round pick from the Rams, which is going to give us 2 seconds and a 3rd to do some damage in this year's draft. Does it make sense? Well, the Rams don't care about draft picks. Check mark. The Rams, also, with their coach McVay, probably, the book hasn't been shot on Mac Jones to being a complete bust. There is also a solid argument to be made that the Patriots just suck and no quarterback would look good there. It's kind of just how things have been. Life beyond Tom Brady, maybe the support cast, yada, yada, yada. So what team would have the confidence that they could trade for Mac Jones and turn it all around? Easily the Rams in this situation. So from the Rams' perspective, if you have McVay saying, give me Mac Jones, let me see if I can make Mac Jones live up to that 1st round draft pick and put it all together, because we've seen some good things. The Rams are the perfect landing spot for this trade. Very happy. We are. I think both teams are happy with this trade. Let's continue on in the draft. So after that trade, we have pick 3 and 20. So, it is pick 20. I thought actually the Rams would have a little bit higher of a pick. I thought we'd be picking maybe top 10. So maybe that's another thing that went into it. It wasn't a high 2nd round pick. But as we continue on, our needs, we need a nose tackle. You can always look for a wide receiver, and we got a lot of wide receivers still on the board here. You could make the argument, pass rush, if there's like a BPA pass rush scenario. I'm looking at, we have Jonah Ellis out of Utah, who's definitely a pass rusher. There's our nose tackle. Devondre Sweat. I did not think he was still going to be on the board. Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, 6'4", 360. This is Bengals draft class. I know how he likes his Texas players. I think I got to do it. I think Worst is going to have a depth trait. Yes, let's go. You got to know your audience. You got to know who makes these draft classes. And that is a gigantic need for our team. Back on the clock at pick 20. Wide receivers are still there. Something about Lad McConkey says he'd be a Bill Belichick guy. Okay. I mean, again, what are wide? We got Gabe Davis, Juju, and Demario Douglas. Odd man out for me personally would be Juju. If we drafted someone, it would be to replace him. Got Ibuka here from Ohio State. A deep route running, 4.3 speed. Athletically speaking, kind of what we're looking for. I think Troy Franklin, another freak, 6'3", gives you a little more A catching, B release, B catching traffic, 4.3 speed elites. If I grab a wideout, it's going to be Troy Franklin, for sure. Looking at who's available. Still, I mean, lots of depth. It's going to be a good year to need a wide receiver, I think. But it's going to have to be someone that's a lot better than what we're seeing there, Troy Franklin, for me to want to go somewhere else, deviate from this plan. Could use your successor to David Andrews at center. Van Pran still on the board, but he might still be there in the third round. We have the third pick of the third round. Could think about that spot a little bit later. But generally speaking, I'm okay with the offensive line. Front three, we got Keon White and Christian Barmore. So I don't really think we need to beef that up any more. Dorless, I mean, would be a good scheme fit there. Linebacking core, again, Uche. We just paid Josh Uche. Do you get a successor in place for Matt Judon? And if that's the case, there's not really a whole lot of... Again, you come back to Jonah Ellis, potentially, as that. He is A tackle, 6'2", speed rusher. Corner. Denzel Burke got great. I mean, these guys here look great. Mike Sainstro, stud, slob. We feel good with our secondary, right? Christian Gonzalez, J.C. Jackson, Marcus Jones. We feel good with our safeties. I almost feel like at this point we're trying to talk ourselves out of just grabbing another wide receiver and I can move on from TikTok boy and Juju Smith-Schuster. So we are going to go and select Troy Franklin, wide receiver out of Oregon. Normal dev, but he does come with great athletic traits, 95 acceleration, 94 jumping, 96 speed. We're going to follow it up. We're going to stick to kind of how we're mapping things out here. We're going to get Cedric Van Pran at center to be our successor for Andrews, who probably is entering his last season with the team here for year 2 of this rebuild. Now, we don't have a 4th round pick. Here is where I think maybe Juju can help us out. All right, we were able to get off our dead weight at wide receiver, Juju and Devontae Parker, to the Cardinals, whose top need was wide receiver. We're able to get a 4th this year and a 4th next year to get rid of 2 guys who definitely still have a little bit of value. Juju maybe more so, as Parker's only going to regress. Juju could still probably get into the 80s, but they weren't going to play for us this year, especially with the addition of Troy Franklin. I'm going to go Troy Franklin, Demario Douglas, and Gabe Davis at wideout. So we get some nice little day 3 picks. I don't know why he keeps falling, but I mean, that's a guy, this real draft class regenerator. If you had a corner like this that was still available, Denzel Burke, A catching 3Bs, combine, maybe not ridiculous, but also not brutal. You're going to pull the trigger there. Gets us a little bit more depth in case we ever want to move on from J.C. Jackson. So we're going to take Denzel Burke. No dev, but I'm going to assume a decent rating with those grades. Some depth in our backfield. I'm going to look at Ray Davis. Former of Temple. Found his way to the SEC. Was really good in the SEC this year. So he's going to come in. Stylistically fits what we're building in our backfield beyond Ramondre Stevenson. Our first realistic rebuild draft in the books. Now, you may have noticed when we drafted Drake Maye, things looked a little different. Well, that is the one issue with Bengals draft class, and people have told me not with mine, is the player faces stuff. You are going to have to go in and edit them in his draft because of the bugs, the countless bugs. It's so frustrating. Nothing you can do for it. It's brutal. Luckily, I don't know what I did differently, but mine, you don't have to go in and edit the players. But for the sake, like if this draft, we would have to go in for Drake Maye. When you go look at him, you go, oh, that looks a little weird. So you're going to have to go in and mod his appearance just a little bit. But the ratings and everything that, obviously, up to the standard that myself and Bengal have set for these draft classes. So I'll go in and I'll fix that. But just appreciate the picks for what they are. Drake Maye, 79, hidden dev quarterback out the gate. We can only assume that's going to be a nice dev trade. Devondre Sweat, day 1 starter at nose tackle, 74 with a hidden dev. Now, Troy Franklin, normal dev, but still a great rating of a 75 deep threat. That is going to be, I mean, look, that's only a couple points off of Juju and Devontae Parker, who we got rid of to make way so he could play and contribute as a rookie. Van Pran, 70 at center, not bad, just to sit and learn behind David Andrews for a year. Burke was just great value in the 4th round, 73 normal. Ray Davis, 70. We got Foster and Justin Jacobs to kind of round out the draft class. Very, very happy. Obviously, we're not going to look at the other teams. Don't want to spoil the ratings for anyone. But that is a great draft class. Hopefully, Drake Maye is going to be the one true successor to Tom Brady here in New England. And there we go. Drake Maye looks exceptional. On brand. 94 throw power. The accuracy on point. Can scramble if he needs to. This is our guy. And during the offseason, into training camp, we do get a standout, and that's Keon White, 2nd-year defensive end, who we are hoping that can become a very dominant pass rusher on that front 3, and getting +3 power and finesse move going to go a long way. As our team lines up the first year of the Drake Maye era, year 2, what we are lining up with. We got Drake Maye under center, who is with the boost now up to an 82 after a great offseason. We got Stevenson. We got a new look wide receiver core led by Gabe Davis, the big fish that we were able to land in free agency. We have Troy Franklin out there with the Mario Douglas in the slot. The offensive line ready to run it back. And again, we got a nice little successor there in place for the oldest member of the offensive line. Gesicki is going to hopefully play better than Hunter Henry because we had to decide between one of the two. Hopefully made the right call. And much like he is utilized in Texas, we put the 360-pound Tavondre Sweat at fullback. I believe he caught a touchdown in like the Big 12 championship, which was pretty badass. He's also going to anchor the middle of the front 3 between Barmore and Keon White. We have Uche, Tavai, Bentley, and Judon with Duggar and Peppers at safety. And obviously when we switch to a subset, it is going to be, I believe it's Tavai and Duggar. So that is going to allow Mapu to get on the field as our 3rd safety. J.C. Jackson, Gonzalez, and Mr. Jones make up a fresh new corner room that had a little bit of turnover a little bit. Also got Riley Moss out, the pink slips who's a god there to add a little bit more depth there. But ultimately, optimistic that this is not going to be a long turnaround and we are going to get back to the Patriot way of just winning all the time. All right, so we got our draft class here for 2025. Who is going to have to join Drake Maye as part of like the key building block of this franchise going forward? We're not going to be in the quarterback market. Probably not going to be in the running back market. I mean, there's a shot that gambling on the guys that we did at wide receiver doesn't pan out. We might have to be aggressive and get, depending on where we pick, like one of these legitimate first rounders. I think there's a shot Gesicki doesn't pan out, maybe starts regressing. We could be in the market for a tight end. Looking at Colson Leveland of Michigan, or maybe Mason Taylor, Jason Taylor's kid at LSU, if we can't come to a long-term extension with Mr. Gigantic Brown at left tackle. There is some offensive linemen here in this year's draft. Proctor, Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell. Really would like one of those top 2. Those guys are bona fide studs. Defensively, wow, that's the first I've got hit with the names. There we go. Good to know that Rosergarten is the first guy. His last name is Rosergarten. That's what's getting started up here. Classic. Thinking about the defense as a whole, I generally feel pretty comfortable with the defense. However, Matt Judon's getting up there in age a little bit. Should be able to run into the wheels fall off. When do those wheels fall off, I guess, is the question. Does he retire sooner than later? Am I going to be able to get him for 4 of the 5 years? That'll be something you have to make a decision on because there are some pretty good pass rushers in this year's draft class. Good D linemen as well. So we're going to have to make a bold call there if that is, we got to just understand what is the tread left on the tire of Matt Judon, because that could very well instantly become one of our biggest spots, because if we have an X-Factor pass rusher retire out of the blue, we do not have an successor in place just quite yet. So you also got to add Harold Perkins potentially into that discussion. It is easily the strength of this draft class is corner. You have Travis Hunter, two-way player. And I think for as much as the Bill Belichick, Patriot way, boring offense, all this stuff, if there's going to be one player, one coach that would maximize Travis Hunter, it would be Bill Belichick in the next level. However, I don't expect us being bad enough to get Travis Hunter. He's likely going to be a lock to go in the top 3. And with how difficult it is to trade up, may need to fall in love with one of these other corners if that is where we want to go. Because I think the 2 question marks on our defense is J.C. Jackson going to be able to establish himself as a long-term corner and Matt Judon. So those are going to be the 2 positions I want to look at. And hey, if you don't want Shiloh gets stricken here too, that's a little suspect. But if we don't want to go the direction of corner, don't want to go the direction of a pass rush, maybe say, Vaki is another kind of two-way player for Utah. Plays running back, plays safety. So that could be another versatile player that may be on board here. But plenty of options for us and Bill Belichick. I just really have no idea how well we're going to be this season. Are we going to be good enough that we can't even really consider some of these top 10 players? Are we going to be shitty enough that we could consider these top 10 players? And the Drake Maye experience doesn't start as hot as we want it to in his rookie season. We'll regroup at midseason. And the streak ends at 4. We start the season 4-0. Maybe a little bit on the lighter side in terms of competition. And then our first big test against the Bills in Week 5. They defeat us 24-22. But we do get a breakout scenario out of that. And it is for Keon White, our star dev, second-year pass rusher out of Georgia Tech. Would be pretty cool. Hold the Jaguars at 75 rushing yards, or get Keon White after the quarterback and put Trevor Lawrence down on his butt cheeks. Let's see if we can do it at home here. Go to 5-2, 4-2, 5-1. Yeah, like 5-1 a little bit more, and we get the job done, and we get another breakout. Let's see if we did enough here for we did not, unfortunately. But I think in this case, it doesn't sting as much. It stings more when it's a normal guy going up to a star dev. I feel like that's a bigger jump than getting star to a superstar. But then again, it's not like our defense is riddled with superstars on the front seven. So what do we got here? Who would this be? I'm going to guess Gabe Davis. It is Gabe Davis. So we need Gabe Davis to have an all-time type game to make the jump from star up to superstar here against the Rams, who are 4-2, another surprising record team. Come on, good news. We should at least get a win here. I'd like to think we could beat the Rams. Our matchup, our roster should, and of course, lose a tight one. But do we get the breakout for Gabe Davis? All right, 0-2. Not great. Not a great stretch of games here in terms of player development. Back to our winning ways, Week 8 over the lowly Cardinals, which gives us a division-leading 6-2 record through the first half, the first stretch of the Drake Maye era, which I'm very happy with. We're at our Week 9 bye. So what perfect time to look at contracts. $131 billion available to our squad. We got our 5th-year option on Cole Strain. Man, what is with Bill Belichick and drafting old-ass rookies? 26th in your rookie contract. Okay, man, once upon a time, there's a firefighter the Eagles drafted that was 26 out the gate. I'd probably be a big Belichick guy there. So we got Jabril Peppers. I'd like this more as a 2-year deal. Nice. Keep him till he's 30. Don't have to really be worried about any aggression. I think Barmore is a nice piece on our front. Only 25, so we'll get him locked into a 4-year. Judon, I mean, we just got to keep Judon until he retires. So hopefully we get 2 more years out of him. Keep him until he's 34. Has his X factor, Ramondre Stevenson. I'm down to commit to Ramondre Stevenson for 3 years as our lead back for the next 3 seasons. And ultimately this rebuild, I think Tavai at 27, should be good till he's 30 at middle linebacker. Him and Jawan Bentley with a little Mapu and Tyle Duggar mixed in there as well. Gives us some really, really strong players in the middle of that defense. And now we got Trent Brown playing on the franchise tag. Up this to a player-friendly contract. And hey, he's seen the light. He wants to buy into the project here. And unfortunately, a little bit of like mixed bag, win one, lose one, win one, lose one, got in that streak, and we finished with a 9-8 record, tied for second in the division, and I think we were kind of in the hunt here for the wild card. Yeah, so we're in the group of teams that just did not make the wild card, but it did look like you needed 11, and we got 9, so it's not like it was razor thin. And it is what it is, man. It is year 1 of a rebuild. You got a brand new quarterback. Things like that are going to happen. I like the fact that we are 3rd in passing yards, top 10 overall defense in terms of points against, which is a dub. Drake Maye, 4,300 yards. 3rd in yards, top 10 in touchdowns, 30 touchdowns, 10 picks. Pretty good. Not ridiculous, but pretty damn good. And I think overall, though, with those big-time yardage numbers, probably going to be in the area code for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And his dev trade was a hidden dev. We got a little point here. We'll go right into the scheme fit here. The Patriot way of being a field general, trying to make him the true successor to Brady. He's already a superstar, so if he wins Offensive Rookie of the Year, there's a shot. We get a role for Drake Maye to potentially be an X-Factor quarterback going into year 3 of this rebuild, which would be gigantic. Ramondre Stevenson, respectable year, 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. Kind of the pace that he would have had, last year, which is which is pretty nice. We got 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns for our big free agency signing, Gabe Davis. In the slot, Demario Douglas, 78 catches, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. 9-3 for the rookie, Troy Franklin. Gesicki with decent numbers. Like, that is a healthy passing offense. We were not seeing this with Mac Jones under center. That is for sure. And on the defensive side, a little worried about the pass rush. I don't think we're going to have gaudy pass rush numbers. 8.5 sacks for Matt Judon, 5 for Uche, 4 for Sweat, 3.5 for Keon White. I mean, the TFLs are there. They're doing their job as run defenders, but you definitely need a little bit more in terms of a pass rush. 3 picks, J.C. Jackson, 2 for Duggar, 2 for Gonzalez on the squad. Yearly awards MVP goes to Patrick Mahomes, with Drake Maye making the short list. Hell yeah. Man, what kind of year did Saquon have for a running back to make that? That is pretty damn impressive. But in the AFC Offensive Player of the Year goes to Patrick Mahomes. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Max Crosby. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to our boy Drake Maye. Caleb Williams runner-up. Caleb Williams. Oh, come on, Madden. You have Anthony Richardson. Why is Caleb Williams going to the Colts? Troy Franklin, number 6 there. Love seeing that. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Tyleek Williams. DeAndre Sweat making the top 5 individual awards. Drake Maye just outside the top 5 for quarterbacks. We got Demario Douglas. Makes it, but Gabe Davis does not. Weird. Shout out to the Canadian City South making the top 10 linemen. I love seeing that. For the linebackers, come on, man. Let's show some love to the Patriots. Judon making the top 10. DBs, J.C. Jackson at number 5. Kyle Duggar at number 10. So, all in all, individual stats about as good as you can ask for a team that did not make the playoffs. And now all eyes shift towards the end of the season, whether or not we get that X factor for Drake Maye for winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Big time. I'm glad to see, like that's just the offense. If Drake Maye is the kind of guy that can, with this Patriots offense, throw for over 4,000 yards consistently, we're going to be playing a lot of playoff football to close this one out. Pro Bowl, Michael Onwenu gets the start at right tackle. Absolutely deserved for him. And for the rest of it, looking on the defense, J.C. Jackson squeaks in corner 4. Great redemption for him after his career kind of crashed and burned with the Chargers. Kyle Duggar makes another Pro Bowl. That's back-to-back Pro Bowls for him. We'll take that. And as we enter year 2, surprising Super Bowl champion, the Niners still can't get over the hump with Kyle Shanahan as the Titans with Baker Mayfield win the. I'll take that every day of the week over like a Chiefs-Cowboys Super Bowl. Yeah, you got to count your blessings as they fall. Before we look at our roster and see if we get that red boy X factor for Drake Maye, Adrian Phillips and Lawrence Guy both retire, both veterans. Decent salary cap relief that we're getting in this case, but we do lose 2 players that did have the mentorship tag, which was giving us that extra XP boost, which never take that for granted. That's just, especially with the XP sliders, so we're making it a little bit more challenging than a normal rebuild. Those players definitely have a role, but come on. Offensive Rookie of the Year, superstar, the X Factor, Drake Maye, and we freaking get it. Let's go. Great role there. We are not going to keep it as Freight Train, I'll tell you that right now. What's the best one? Gambit, increased throw speed, absolutely, we'll go with that. Bulldozer, truck animations, 4th quarter. Oh my God, man. Like, what determines this? Is this something like based off of these players' stats? Or is it completely randomized when you get these? We're going to get a quick draw. Anything that gives us better animations. But outstanding rookie campaign for Drake Maye. 3rd in yards. As far as the rest of the offense is concerned, we did get the star dev trade for Demario Douglas, who is definitely carving out a nice little role here for our offense. Obviously, we're not getting a gigantic, but he got 1,000 yards, so hopefully that continues to trend, and Gabe Davis and him can coexist, and a little bit of Troy Franklin in the mix. First year, though, with Drake Maye under center, I'm optimistic. This offense is only going to get better, and we're going to see some new dev traits continuing to roll in. Defensively, we got, unfortunately, 2 regressions. Judon goes down from X Factor to Superstar. Peppers goes down from Superstar to a star. In terms of gained dev traits, I don't think we gained any. But, supposing maintaining some superstars on the defense, that is a win. So going into free agency, there's some top dogs here. Interesting names. Give credit where credit is due. A lot of times I'm just crapping all over Madden, but with the the November title update, they definitely improved free agency to have more exciting players available. And we're going to, try and be aggressive here. We got Greg Newsome in the secondary just because J.C. Jackson is kind of at that point where it's like we're not going to really want to extend him probably into another contract. So I think someone like Greg Newsome long-term, pair that with Christian Gonzalez. That is 2 lockdown corners for the remainder of the rebuild that had their best football ahead of them. It was a reasonable contract. He had some interest, so it wasn't like we were trying to get a big-time player that had 0 interest. I think we're doing good. 2 big fishes back-to-back free agents. Gabe Davis last year. Now we land Greg Newsome, and let's do the rest of our damage during the draft. These were some of the big fish landed in free agency. Nick Chubb going to the Steelers. Trey Smith to the Rams. And Amari Cooper to the Super Bowl champion Titans. Not resting on their laurels. They're keening out to the Jets. Honey Badger to the Titans. JOK, which, I mean, he'd always be a top target. I'm just not paying edge rusher price for him. He ends up going to the Cardinals. Mixon, the Panthers. Really, really happy they get Greg Newsome. Definitely could make the argument he's a top 5 overall free agent in this year's class. All right. Decent class. Getting an idea of the mock drafts. Harold Perkins projected to be the first overall pick. Travis Hunter there to the Bears. Where are we projected? At least it's not the player with the most offensive name of all time. The old Patriots. Right now, Anthony Hill Jr. Now that is... he's an off-ball linebacker. He's not an edge rusher. Ethan Burke would be a good one. I mean, look, it's just one of those things where, like, all the guys that I think I would be interested in targeting. Loveland to get an upside at tight end. Josh Farmer can play 3-4 defensive end. Ethan Burke, 6'6", probably like the last, like, true edge rusher. Okunlola from Pitt, who's actually in the transfer portal. I mean, Will Johnson's still on the board. That actually sucks. I should have paid attention because Will Johnson, AA, B. We could have just went. But then again, we wouldn't have signed anyone in free agent. But if we didn't get Newsome, and I saw that this was still the final mock draft, I probably would have just kept as is. Abdul Carter out of Penn State, 6'3", 250. Again, more of an off-ball linebacker. It's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. Okay. I'm not going to trade up in the draft. We're going to kind of sit put here at 16 and kind of just play the board as it comes to us. Man, I wish I'm trying to just think of my secondary right now. Because Will Johnson, that's a slam dunk right there. Newsome. But do we need, like... is that the best value pick? Because if we don't go Will Johnson, I think Abdul Carter, who's kind of in that tweener. Got 4 A's, but he's in that, like, kind of a pass rusher, kind of not a pass rusher. Could see him just as easily being an off-ball linebacker that can blitz versus, being like a Micah Parsons type, if you will. But he is big time. He is legit. C finesse move, C power move. Like, that's not necessarily how he's built right now. And it's just like, if we go Will Johnson, that's going to give us 3 legitimate lockdown corners in this secondary. I think that's truly... like, if this was not a realistic draft class and we were just looking at players... We'd pull the trigger on Will Johnson. So I'm going to do it. We're going to have just the best secondary possible. The Bermuda Triangle secondary. And we need a pass rusher. Best pass rusher available. If we're trusting the scouting, Van's good. I think we're going to have to go TJ Parker out of Clemson. AA and a B. A power, A tackle. Combine. Good, not amazing. But we need a successor to Judon. The regression's already starting to sit in. And luckily, we roll a dev trait pass rusher here in TJ Parker. Now, I'm a little worried, though. We shift his position from edge to outside linebacker. We might have, he might lose a point or two, which could hurt. But prospect's definitely there, especially for only 20 years old. Last kind of thing I want to get out of this draft, get a tackle. Just in case we have some weird things happening with Trent Brown. So I'm going to look at Emory Jones here out of LSU. No dev trait. Hopefully, we're getting a guy that's close to a 70 overall, though. Nice little developmental prospect. Same kind of way we did last year with Cedric Van Pran behind David Andrews at center. And our draft recap of our second run of real players, where we, needs to be said, didn't get necessarily the biggest position of need, but we kind of went BPA, and BPA indeed. Will Johnson, one of the most highly regarded corners, lockdown corners in all of college football, or maybe the best defense in all of college football in the Michigan Wolverines. He rolls out as a 79 hidden dev, and all expectations are now with him, Gonzalez, and Greg Newsome, that we are going to have the best secondary in the NFL. And you giving those kind of weapons to a Bill Belichick, I'm expecting our defense to be absolutely elite. We got TJ Parker in the second round, also rolling a dev trade. He is going to be a successor to Matt Judon. Probably not going to play a lot this year, but next year and beyond, he's going to need to be a go-to guy. We got Emory Jones, and this is just another kind of long-term, not going to play year one, but developmental tackle, 71 with a normal dev. We got Isaac Rex, the tight end out of BYU. Did roll a dev trade here, 72 hidden dev, and that is going to be a guy that, again, not going to play a lot this year, but he's going to be right behind Mike Gesicki. And idea is that when it comes time to probably pay Mike Gesicki well into his 30s, let him go. It'll be Isaac Rex time. Rest of the draft, just solid 67, 68, 71. Jalen Wright got some good speed in the backfield. Couple 60. Got Josh Pierce, who's actually going to the WWF right now. The Fed, he's going up to New York. But we got him joining the NFL for the time being here. Def linebacker. But ultimately, man, really, really happy with the first 4 rounds. And I think we're going to have, when all is said and done, wouldn't be surprised if all 4 of these guys end up starting for this team come year 4, year 5, this rebuild. The halfway point, bye week of year number 3, man. And we just ran the gauntlet. Back-to-back weeks, week 5 and week 6. We beat the Bills and Dolphins to put us at the bye first place in the AFC East, which is juicy. And we currently have the number 1 passing offense, at least in terms of yards per game, which is surprising. And everything else is a work in progress. But very happy with where we're at with that. At least our X-Factor quarterback is slanging the ball, and the scheme is allowing our quarterback to slang the ball as much as he wants. But let's take a look at some contracts here. $43 million, a modest amount available salary cap. Marcus Jones, kind of surplus requirement, especially after the offseason we just had, adding 2 starting corners. Jawan Bentley, there's no way I'm paying a 29-year-old for 4 years. It just, the good news is that it's going to be a fairly affordable, carry this 43 into the offseason type year, no in-season signings, and we'll obviously pick up the 5th-year option at the end of the year for C. Gonzalez. We were on the verge of losing 3 in a row to close out the year, getting a little worried, trying to keep pace with the Dolphins here for first place in the East, and the Bills are right on our ass, both with 10 wins, but we put up 56 on the Cleveland Browns with Drake Maye, 5 passing touchdowns, well over 300 yards for getting player of the week. Did have the interception, I guess, if we want to put a little damper on things there. But that is an outstanding performance by our X-Factor quarterback. And that rolls into, gotta be honest, bottom dweller against the Jets. Gotta win this one. Gotta have a squad that's built to win this one. And we actually are able to handle business there. 35-29, punching our ticket to the playoffs in the wild card round against the 11-6 Vegas Raiders, where the Patriots bring the number 1 overall offense in the NFL. Defensively, not brutal, pretty good. Maybe turns the total yards, not the best, 18th, but 7th, top 10 in touchdowns allowed, top 10 in sacks, which is great. Red zone percentage on point as well. I really do think, though, for our secondary, for how good it is, our defensive pass yards per game should be top 10 at minimum, but, beggars can't necessarily be choosers. But I'm really, look at that. Drake Maye is thriving. Look at the yards. 4,700 yards, 33 touchdowns. I guess all it takes is to have a quarterback that is boosted up to a 99 overall to kind of make the Patriots into a pass-happy offense. I would have said, gun in my head, I would have been like, it's probably going to be like the Pittsburgh Steelers maybe, where it might be a solid offense, might actually even be a good offense, but it's still going to run through the running back. I did not think we would get this kind of role for our quarterback and throwing the football, but maybe even sometimes you can break this. And it's not even like a ridiculous year. He's probably not going to win MVP. The yards are great, but 33 touchdowns, 5 picks, that's great. Maybe not MVP excellent. Running the ball, 1,200 yards, 17 touchdowns for Ramondre Stevenson. 3-3 there for Drake Maye as a dual threat. We have 1,400 yards on over 100 catches for Big Play Gabe. 11 touchdowns. Troy Franklin over 1,000. Just under 1,000 for Demario Douglas. 8-5 there for Mike Gesicki. Defensively, we got Tavai with a bunch of tackles. We got Matt Judon, aging like a fine wine. 10 TFLs. 11 sacks, 6.5 for T'Vondre Sweat, 5 from Barmore, 5 from Keon White. Need more picks, though, man. Definitely need more interceptions. We have 3 eventually, in terms of ceilings. 90 corners, and we got three total interceptions, and only one of those corners getting one. That's a little brutal, to be honest with you. There's the one little bummer so far of breaking down those stats. Dak Prescott wins the MVP. Drake Maye making the top 5. And just quickly seeing if we have any award winners here from the New England Patriots. And that's just disrespectful, honestly, if you ask me. I think outstanding team. Getting an opportunity here to get some playoff success. Get back into that Bill Belichick playoff success here in year 3 of this rebuild. And it all starts here in the first round against the solid but not better than us Vegas Raiders. And of course, we fucking our pretty much number one offense, 10 points. 10 points. Number one at 10 points. The Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl, so who fucking cares, honestly, at this point? They beat the Raiders, who I guess, if we lost to the team that went on to go all that way, it's kind of cool. As far as dev traits are concerned, Drake Maye keeps his extra. I thought Ramondre might have had a shot there at going up to a superstar. In turn, he actually got hit with a 2-point regression, which makes us think, if a running back comes available, maybe more so in the draft, that's a BPA, might need to consider that. Gabe Davis, though, made the jump from star up to a superstar, which is pretty good. Isaac Rex was a hidden dev tight end. He popped just with a star dev trait. On the defensive side, we got no dev traits on the front. Matt Judah on there lost his superstar. That's why we got Parker to be a successor. Kyle Duggar, no more superstar. Will Johnson, though, first-round pick out of Michigan. He did pop with a superstar dev. So let's see if, for the love of God, I'm not saying that everyone needs to get 4 or 5 picks. We could just have a shutdown secondary where no team throws against us. We hold every team under 20. Kind of think like current Jets defense. But having only between 85 star, 92 superstar, 84 superstar, having 2 interceptions total between the 3, I think I have a valid complaint that we need to get a little bit more production, especially with how great a Bill Belichick defense is. But all in all, I would say going into this offseason will be a little aggressive potentially in finding a running back if there is one available. We could always look, especially if there's a dev trait player on the interior of the offensive line, even though, especially with these sliders, man, these guys are going to develop a little bit slower, but that's going to be a thing across the league. Most teams are not going to have a juggernaut offensive line, so that's fine. I also think middle linebacker, that is where I set my focus scouting, just to see if we can get an absolute playmaker there as well, more so in the draft. And we got a little bit of the old school free agency role. Not a whole lot here in terms of big upgrades. We have a lot of money, $83 million. We're playing, obviously, with a roster that's built around a franchise quarterback on a rookie deal for the majority of this rebuild. I did think about Jamin Davis, because I think there is a shot that we need to get to. You know what? We'll throw an offer here on Jamin Davis. We'll go, get him locked in for the remainder of the rebuild. Because really, I do think we need 2 middle linebackers. So we will see if we can get him. He'll come in, kick inside, play with Tavai this year. Ideally, look, we get him lined in. Ideally, we can also draft a linebacker within the first 2-3 rounds that could be a Tavai successor and just completely overhaul that linebacking room. But hey, happy to bring in Jamin Davis, who actually, as an outside linebacker, might go up a point when we kick him inside a middle linebacker. Is a pass coverage style. So it wouldn't go up too much, but there might be a shot that he goes up. I would be very disappointed if he somehow goes down off of his base rating. So he goes, from an 83, stays course, 83. Happy with it, man. Even though our free agency has kind of been land one big fish, Jamin Davis, Greg Newsome, Gabe Davis, pair that with good drafting, that's all you need. We're going to this draft, needs running back, middle linebacker, BPA, somewhere in that vicinity. We did our scouting on middle linebackers. I did my focus scouting, my 3 slots on running backs. And for that, we pretty much just went with the best athletes. And, if you don't want to go with the athletes, you want to go with the best grades, which is never necessarily the worst thing you could do. You got Venzel Smith. The 3-cone 20-yard shuttle, kind of look away, but the straight line speed's not bad. He has elite jumping, A ball carrier vision, A break tech. And power back is the scheme that we are. You have James Presley if you want to go for more of an athlete. And all things equal, I tend to go for the athletes. 4-3-7, first in the 3-cone, first in the 20-yard shuttle. The question would be, would he be there in the second round at pick 22? I almost feel like Van Dyke, I believe, was also just a big-time, first in the 40-yard dash. I almost feel like we go elsewhere in the first round, if there is something, and then in the second round, hopefully one of those running backs falls to us, or maybe we be aggressive and trade up. Holy, look at that tight end right there. But that being said, look at the tackles. Holy shit. You got a couple first-rounders, and then the gigantic drop box. Like I say, we could rock and roll the tackle, just to keep up on the offensive line there. Bo Hayes, scheme fit. Looks kind of legit for us. As far as off-ball linebackers are concerned, there's a couple that look like they could be something. We got Justice Red, but again, like nothing in the first round is screaming like this is the guy we got to go with in the first round, unless you need a corner. So I'm thinking we just get the athlete, the top athlete at that running back spot, and live with the fact that we just took a first-round running back. That's kind of where I'm at. James Presley, hidden dev, 95 acceleration, 92 agility, 92 change of direction, 94 speed. I'll take it. I think we just go with the best linebacker we can grab. Unfortunately, so Edens here had decent grades, but he's really, really slow. DeMar Fisher, I need speed. I need the best athlete out of all these guys with decent grades. DeMar Fisher, 4.5. Elite jumping. Letter grades, 3 Bs and a C, not bad. Justice Redmond, 3 Bs and, probably somewhere in that range. Great speed, 4.5, just runs within it. We got the top available. I believe this was the #1 overall linebacker in Tyreek Jones out of Central Florida. Pretty legit athlete as well. The linebacker I did scout was on the left outside here, and it wasn't Sean Aldridge, who I kind of wish I did with those grades. A-zone, A pursuit. They ran a 4.58. Elite speed trait. But we got Ronald Porter here. He's the guy that had also ABB for block shed. Elite accelerator. That's the guy I'm going with. The guy that I scouted is the guy that I'm going with. And the good thing about it, it's a little bit of a miss here. I'm not going to lie. I'll probably just grab a linebacker in the next round too. Oh, we got another one. Dylan Edens, who had decent grades, not great athletic testing. And I'll take the dev trade every day of the week. He might not even be a higher rating, but dev trade guys, they just find a way to start sooner than later, huh? Isn't that weird? Look at our draft recap. Wasn't the most pretty draft, but the fact that, it's okay, a little annoying that we had to take 2 swings at the linebacker here. But 75 normal, 74 hidden dev. I feel like to be where we're at, getting a linebacker, debatably 2 linebackers at the end, is not too bad. But Presley is going to be the tough call here because he needs to get on the field. I mean, that is a guy that I feel optimistic about that dev trade. You get a guy that's a big-time athlete like this, that might be better than a star dev. And how long do we want him behind Ramondre Stevenson, who's already starting to regress? Tough decision to make for sure. Let's take Porter, too. I want to put him inside. He's going to be a middle linebacker, and I wonder if that rating goes up. It probably won't because, we just expected something potentially the same when we got John Davis in free agency, and it did not go up. But, he goes from 70 down to a 73. Holy shit. All right, the 3rd-round pick's going to start. So going into year 4, here's my logic. I think for the most part of this rebuild, we've kind of gone with the veterans. I think we got to make a little bit of a jump off here because it's 4 and 5. We got 2 years left. We need to maximize the development of these young guys that are going to be key players. So we got to go with Presley over Ramondre for the starting running back spot, but Ramondre still will be a pivotal part of this offense as our starting power back, short yardage back. But we need to just, especially if Presley has something better than a star dev, needs to get on the field, needs to get those reps, needs to maximize that XP in this short 2-year window. But the rest of the offense is going to run it back the exact same defense, same kind of thing with Matt Judon. Going to take a little bit of a step back, still will be a part of the pass rush rotation, but we got TJ Parker and we got Josh Uche, the 2 younger players. One veteran that I'm probably still going to roll with just because the gap is, I don't know. I almost feel like we just got to get Edens on the field. Same kind of deal. Like Tavai's probably going to regress 2 points. He'll be 79. And if we give Edens a start this year, will he be a 78, 79 come season's end and put us in a better position year 5? That's probably going to be the case. So we're going to go with that there. But ultimately, absolutely a playoff contender, especially as long as Drake Maye keeps playing like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Optimistic that this year we'll yet again make the playoffs and maybe get that first playoff victory for the Drake Maye era. Midway point of year 4, pretty damn good. So are the Jags, apparently. But week 9, we defeated the Chiefs, which is always like a measuring stick of like, how legit is this team, at least in the sim? And you beat the Chiefs, you can beat pretty much anybody. And imagine, we're Drake Maye, 4 total touchdowns, 3 through the air, 1 on the ground, did have the interception. But that is a big-time performance against a big-time team where we sit with a very impressive 6-2 record. But the division is pretty competitive, only 2 games separating last and first. So we need to make sure we do not get ice cold to close this season up. But with over $100 million of available salary cap, probably the bonus of just not, like, well, not necessarily the bonus, but we've only signed like 1 guy every free agency period. So we haven't been going all in, which means we can afford to keep my biased Canadian pick here in City South. Give him a 2-year deal, locked in for the remainder of the rebuild. Have no complaints about my offensive line. Mapu's been a nice little rotational player. Shouldn't cost an arm and a leg, but he might want to go and start somewhere else. So that's Can't hate him on that. Cole Strange on the offensive line. See if we'll give you a 2-year deal. I think that's something that I need to, if I'm going to be playing with these realistic sliders. Guys like that, you know, before you'd be like, well, we have so much money, I'm just going to sign the best lineman available. But with how these guys are in terms of development and not developing the fastest, you know, high 70s are the new low 80s in comparison to regular rebuilds. So we'll give Peppers a 3-year deal, even though he's 30. Probably between this year and next year, we're not going to be able to find anyone that is better. Same with Kyle Duggar, 2-year deal. He's only going to start regressing, but even at the basement of that regression, still should be a solid starter. I think we can move on from Gesicki. We do have Isaac Rex, star dev tight end. That could probably take over. And honestly, if we're going to make this decision, I should probably just make Rex their starting tight end for the remainder of the year. Keon White, maybe not the development I was hoping for. Hasn't also really had the production I was hoping for. He's a guy that's like around 5-6 sacks, but we'll continue his development. But a player that actually has met our expectations, our lofty expectations that we set, is Demario Douglas. I would love to keep him here in the slot, so we'll give him a 3-year contract extension. And with $48 million remaining, you know, I might try again for Mapu, but end of the world, not that big of a deal. We do also have Matt Judon, the veteran. I'll give him a 1. I'll give those out of respect because he's one of the most underrated edge rushers, and he has the mentorship tag, so he'll be able to mentor the younger pass rushers we have on the roster. And we'll finish up this offseason, or more so kick off the offseason, by picking up the 5th-year option there on Drake Maye. In the Battle of the Big Dogs, just going to show this one. We lost 42-35 in a shootout against the Jags, but Drake Maye needs to put some respect. 5-touchdown performance. God damn, man, what a monster. There's a lot going on. We've lost some games we shouldn't have lost. So we've fallen off the pace there for the Buffalo Bills in the AFC. But we just had a big-time performance over the Dolphins, who are legit this year. Drake Maye, another Offensive Player of the Week performance, which is gigantic for him, where he got another breakout, which, I mean, the breakout for him is just going to be XP boost, but we will trigger that in a second. But the more important one is this breakout defensive lineman for Tavondre Sweat, looking to make the jump from star up to a superstar. We have a good performance here this week. That'd be gigantic for our Vince Wilfork 2.0. And then for Drake Maye, already an X factor, so this would be, I don't know, what is it, 10K? 10K XP? You get some nice XP boost, which, I mean, he's already a 99. Not really going to matter, but just helps reestablish himself as maybe the best quarterback in the NFL. So we handle business here against the Jets, in which we get a lot of things. First, we'll start with the breakout because it's the least important. It's only an XP boost. Did Drake Maye? Yeah, there you go. Another huge day for Drake Maye. I'm going to assume he got Player of the Week again. 15,000 XP. Doesn't, I mean, again, not matter. You're just kind of sending that XP into the middle of nowhere. I'm going to assume he got his 3rd straight. Oh, he didn't. It's John Davis, 3 picks for the big free agency signing. Love seeing that. We will take that. More importantly, we get that victory. Two games back. At least trying to keep pace with the Bills here over the last couple of weeks. For the breakout here for Tavondre Sweat. Damn it. And I assume that linebacker breakout is going to be for Jamin Davis after those 3 picks. So we will trigger that. Because he's only on a star. Superstar. Star to superstar is not impossible. It's not easy. It's not a gimme. It's probably 30%. But we'd handle business here against the Denver Broncos. Get another win. Get our 10th win of the season. Pretty much lock in for the wild card. And maybe get ourselves a superstar dev trade on a linebacker that contract will get. And we handle business 31-24. Do we get the breakout for... Yeah, of course not. I don't think we've hit a single one of these breakouts this rebuild. So we end up getting that wild card spot. Very competitive East. 11 wins for the Dolphins, 13 for the Bills. We're kind of sandwiched in between. And we take the Chiefs, which is... That's a brutal roll. But we did beat the Chiefs in the regular season. But we are now on the road. That's a tough one. Best of year 4. But I'd rather that year 4 than year 5. And we got Drake... We got the guy that might be able to go shot for shot with Patrick Mahomes right now. Maye, 4,100 yards, 39 touchdowns, only 3 picks. We've had some rebuilds as of late, not necessarily realistic rebuilds, where we've got really good quarterbacks, but like this, it's been, I don't know. We've had maybe 1 or 2 like 99 X factor type guys in our rebuilds, and I'm happy that Drake Maye is the one of them. Starting out the realistic rebuilds on the right foot. Drake Maye is everything we needed. A true Tom Brady successor to be here in New England. Presley, I mean, yeah, he got his, the rookie. 10 tutties for Mondre as the power back, so he still was utilized. Presley's dev, yeah, it's a star, but maybe with those stats plays himself into the Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation, and we can make that look a little better. Over 1,000 yards for Gabe Davis, 9-9 for Demario, 7-4 for Franklin, and obviously Gesicki and Rex kind of split reps there until we decided to go all in on Rex. So optimistic he will be solid next year. Jamin Davis, all three of those picks came in one game as he went over 100 tackles. Sacks fell off a cliff. It's just, it is what it is, man. For the most part, 95% of 3-4 defenses just don't get sacks. It's kind of what I knew coming into this. It's why you don't pay S-tier money for pass rushers if you're going to 3-4. You could draft them and be optimistic, but for the most part, if you were in a 3-4 and you're not trying to cheese and find the best playbook, you're just not getting sacks. I don't know why. Drake Maye, top 5 for the MVP. Maybe that's a little disrespectful to have him there. Gets a chance to prove against Mahomes that he is truly the best. For outright award winners, damn, runner-up for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Not what we were looking for. Damn. Drake Maye does win Quarterback of the Year, which is cool. But, I mean, it's not been a rebuild where I feel like it's been a rebuild where we've developed and got great players, and even decent seasons. Not a lot of individual success, individual awards here, which is that the Patriot way? As Drake Maye, 39 touchdowns, 3 picks, goes up against Patrick Mahomes, 42 touchdowns, 6 picks in the wild card round. It's going to be tough. Wow. Handle business. 31-24. And then, from that, we get to go take on the 15-2 Jags, who have the number 3 offense, number 2 defense. I guess we'll spend our upgrade here to give us as much of a chance as we possibly can get. But man, oh man, Dougie P got the Jags playing. And some may say he has Bill Belichick's number after the Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl a couple years ago. But, let's go! 42-28, setting an all AFC East Super. 6 touchdowns. Drake Maye, he is an absolute god. 6 touchdowns. I'm seeing Jalen Carter up there, too. J.J. McCarthy, he went to the Giants, got at least a quarterback now. 6 touchdowns, man. That's incredible. Do I have another skill point to spend for him? You should after 6. No, we did not. Just for our depth guys. All right. Well, we got Buffalo. Battle for the division. Best team. See who truly is the best team in the AFC East. Just give me a sec here. I'm watching Aston Villa Arsenal. Aston Villa scored like 3 minutes into the game. They're down 1-0, but Arsenal in the box. They fuck it up. All right. I mean, it's year 4. Would really like to get that Super Bowl cashed in so it doesn't turn into year 5 Super Bowl or bust. Ooh, look at that. Not only we beat the Bills. Very slim victory. Slim margins, 31-27. And TJ Parker, first year as a true starter for us. 2 sacks. Love seeing that. Josh Allen got player. I mean, he did his best to try to keep the Bills in that matchup. But how fitting. The third time all time, the Eagles and Patriots meet in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts against Drake Maye. Bill Belichick against Nick Sirianni. What's the true tale of the tape here? New England has the number 8 offense. Philly has the number 2 offense. Patriots have the number 18 defense, which is, I don't know, underperforming. I think it's fair to say, especially with our secondary. Philly has the number 12. So, I mean, it's pretty evenly matched up. 9-8 Eagles, 11-6 Patriots. You know we're going to hop in. Front row seat. Let's get this Super Bowl dub. And we're going to apply the same rules I always apply. I can hop in 3 times, total times, if I need to. Ideally in a perfect world, as this is a sim series, we can just sit back, watch the sim, and it'll do their job. But sometimes that's not always the case. So on the opening drive, we march down, stall, and get nothing. What? Oh, God damn it. See, this is when you come in. How the fuck do we get fucking nothing? Got a 99 quarterback that just threw 6 touchdowns. I get nothing? We don't even get 3 on the board? Absolute bullshit. No safety. We're going to watch Gabe Davis here matched up against the safety. Throw it in between. I hate that shit. Like, in what realm is Bill Belichick not taking the 3 points there? And then our defense just shamball. Can we get a stop? All right, we're going to year 5, man. Oh, my God. I fucking hate this sim. Every time, man. We scored like 40 points a game in the fucking playoffs. And then it's just... Hey, we lost to the superior franchise, I suppose. If I'm going to lose to anybody, better be the Eagles. But now all the pressure's on us having to do the exact same thing and hope that the sim doesn't take a dice roll that my offense won't show up and my defense won't show up. Okay. Year 5, Super Bowl or bust. What a perfect way for our first realistic rebuild, huh? Of course, we can't have anything easy. Shout out Matt Judon. Decides to retire after 11 years. Very underrated pass rusher. Wish we could have got him a ring. Just kind of browsing through free agency here. You know, in terms of upgrade. Like, it would just have to be an excessive signing. Our team is pretty complete across the board. And, yeah, we haven't got the best of roles here for free agency. Tyreek Hill is available, but I really want to cash in the Tyreek Hill chip right now in our first real. I do think someone like Devontae could be an interesting role player to bring in. Does have the mentorship tag, but I think at this point, man, I just want to rock and roll with the team that we built. More than good enough. Just hopefully the sim shows us mercy. And for our final draft with the 31st pick, I'd say maybe if we can get like a big-time wide receiver, maybe. But for the most part, it's very much just BPA. What kind of player can we... Actually, it might be this. Look at this guy. 6'4", Bradley Bridges. A catching. This might actually work out. I would say arguably the position I would want is just see if I can find ourselves a big-time wide receiver late in the first round. Not usually a spot that they don't really grow on trees late in the first round. But that being arguably the position that we might be able to get a start. Ooh, what do we got here, though? Duke McAllister out of Maryland. Our corners are sick. Let's just see if this guy's free. I mean, this guy is pretty damn good, too. Safeties are getting older. Is there there's just a tackling safety. Not getting a tackle. I wish we had, like, someone's coverage stats unlocked. This guy here, not really fast enough. Let me take a quick look here at this top safety, the hitter. Can you also cover? Probably not. Not an athlete. All right, we're grabbing that wide out here for our final first round. Well, I mean, potentially final. I guess I did say we could go 6 here. Go into overtime if need to. But we'll go Bradley Bridges. 6'4", 216, A catching, B deep route running, elite strength, good speed. Sure, why not? And, of course, no depth trait. Awesome. Now, just because he has no depth trait doesn't mean he sucks. Could be like 76, 77. I'll take that. I mean, we've had Troy Franklin be a starter. He hasn't had a depth trait all year long. Or all rebuild long, and Bridges ends up being about what you would expect for a late first-round pick. But he is 6'4" with 92 speed, so I guess there is something there. Kind of just set my board and simmed, and anytime I do that, it always grabs me a quarterback for some reason, even though I never pick one. But we did get a hidden depth guard here out of the U, Theo Moulton. Not a brutal pick, but the draft class itself didn't look particularly strong on paper, and that's kind of how it broke down here. So, hey. Zero momentum. We didn't get anybody in free agency. The draft was kind of a dud. Like, I just think it was a weak draft outside of the top 10. Which, yeah, there you go. 80 left tackle, 80 defensive end, 80 corner. 79, 78, 79. Like, did we miss anybody? When we made our pick at 31, was there, like, someone on the board? We skipped corner, right? Didn't need that. Actually, good year to looks like a good year to need a quarterback. And this was the corner we passed on. 77. I mean, it's just because corner cheese, right? But what's the depth? Just out of curiosity. This is superstar or something like that. We don't even need it, but we could have moved him to safety. Only a star dev, good rating. I don't know, man. I still think, regardless of not signing anybody, we still have a team running it back that might be the strongest in the NFL. We ran through a ridiculously dominant Jags team last year and the Chiefs. Just got to try to do it again. So year 5, here's our squad. Feel really, really good about where it's at. We've kept the offensive line, developed the offensive line for most of this rebuild, drafted the tight end. You know, there's been blockbuster trades or anything crazy like that. It has just been doing it the right way, and obviously locked into Drake Maye. But Drake Maye, awesome. I mean, that's the reason why we did this rebuild, wanting to land one of the top. You can't do the first realistic rebuild of a Madden cycle and not get one of the big names at QB. And this may be the future for the Patriots. Unless they keep finding ways to win games IRL, Drake Maye could, and look at the stats. 99 throw power, 99, 98, 99, 98, 94, 92, 88. Some of that is with the boost from our offensive coordinator, but incredible. Probably, arguably the best quarterback, not in-game, right out the rip, that we've got so far. Gabe Davis also has been awesome. Needs to be said, we've had Demario Douglas, has developed nicely in a role player, but we paid big play, 85, came as an 85 star, now 92 superstar. He's elevated his game as a wide receiver 1 here in New England. The defense, again, kind of more the same, right? We, a little bit more free agency signings. John Davis, Greg Newsome coming in. But I also think, good drafting, good developing. Keon White, and realistic. Didn't pop off. We don't have a bunch of X factors, a bunch of superstars, a bunch of defensive players of the year. But like T'Vondre Sweat, that is a Patriot. Shoot the fucking ball! Come on! Sorry, T'Vondre Sweat developed nicely. TJ Parker's been a good role player, good successor for Matt Judon. And obviously getting a superstar corner in Will Johnson was gigantic. Gonzalez developed nicely. Might have a chance to hit 99. God damn it, man. Martin Odegaard needs to fucking learn how to shoot the football. Shoot the football, buddy. What is that waiting there, bud? Oh, God damn. All right, anyways, back. Locked in, year 5. It's time to go win it all. This team is good enough. Drake Maye is good enough. Everybody is good enough. Just let this sim be in our favor, please. Please pray on Tim Tebow on this great holy day of Saturday college football. The monstrosity that is the Army-Navy game in terms of on-field football product. Please. Put all the good vibes. Let's win it right now. Thank God I'm not backtracking on my words. I said, because that first year, should that count as year 1 of 5? Because we started with already like the burn year, if you will. Well, we didn't even make the fucking playoffs. We had a good record. Don't get me wrong. Didn't even make the playoffs. Well, sacks are up a little bit. Drake Maye still played pretty well. All right, we're going another year. At least something good happened for the Detroit Lions as they win the Super Bowl here. 24-21. They got Drew Aller, former Penn State Nittany Lion. QB gets the job done. Congrats. So because I simmed that year as it was a foregone conclusion that we were going to win a Super Bowl, I now have only one opportunity to negotiate with my in-house free agents. So that's cool. But we'll start with Van Pran here. We get him locked in, our starting center. So Trent Brown's going to be... So we're going to be down to left tackle. Doable. You can survive that. We got Troy Franklin at wide out. If you'll take that, fine. If not, he has not developed a whole lot. But the big one is Christian Gonzalez and T'Vondre Sweat. So for Gonzalez, we're going to go with a player-friendly deal to lock into our 96. And with $28 million remaining, we need our big nose tackle, T'Vondre Sweat. We're just going to be able to squeak in under the salary cap with him. If he takes it, which he does, maybe we need to look at contract restructuring, depending on who's available in free agency. But, man, what a brutal year. Didn't have a whole lot of guys we could restructure, but we did give ourselves from like $3 million up to $11 million. And this is like a forbidden year. I don't know what free agency looks like. Year 6 of a rebuild. Just out of curiosity, what do we got? Not a lot, to be honest with you. We don't necessarily need a tackle either, because remember we drafted Emory Jones, like a 3rd-round pick. He's 78, so we kind of switched him over there to start for Trent Brown. I would love, obviously, just to splurge on a big-time tackle if one available, but he's as good as everyone that's there. It's not looking like a particularly strong free agency class, which I guess, given the state of our salary cap, not the worst thing to happen. Some linebackers there that are solid. Rental. Don't need corners at all. Safeties. If a big-time safety was there, maybe we try and make a bid. Literally, we need a punter. So I'm going to go, and with our remaining money here, we're going to get a punter. That is the excitement that this free agency is going to offer to the Patriots team. Tommy Townsend, welcome to New England. We've kept it realistic, right, for the whole part, but I think now at this desperation time, the trading's hard. It might not even be possible, but I want this guy. He's going 2 overall to the Steelers. I want this guy. Let's see if we can make something happen. Well, I had to go do it. I'll give him Troy Franklin. I think this guy out the box is going to be better than Troy Franklin. Similar style players, Troy Franklin. So we gave up our 1st and 2nd this year, and then 2 picks that don't even exist to move up 16 spots in the first round to get a wide receiver with an all-time name, with a damn near all-time height, weight, speed, with the number 2 pick, with utter desperation, Hail Mary to try to win a Super Bowl before Bill Belichick retires. Free reign was given to him by Robert Kraft to go get Julio Jones, reincarnated Tavares Doolittle, 6'5", 216 out of Alabama, 92 acceleration, 92 change of direction, 99 jumping, 93 speed, an absolute game changer. This is what we're missing, I think. Just how good is this guy? I mean, the draft class itself, pretty solid. 70, 74 running back, 71 corner, 70 tight end, which we actually needed as a death spot. But Tavares Doolittle, 80, maybe not 84, 85 generational out the box. Even if there's only a start at this guy here. I mean, we just traded, 83 for Troy Franklin. He's been developing here for 4 goddamn years. Let's go, man. Let's make something special. You are going to be, with Big Play Gabe and Demario Douglas, the best receiving core in the NFL. All right, now we're in our official 5th rebuild year. So that kind of counts. Offensively, we did lose a superstar on Gabe Davis, but optimistic that Doolittle's going to be something special on the outside. Demario Douglas in the slot. The offense should keep on turning. Offensive line, new left tackle, but you know we've prepared for this. I'm going to prove that you don't need an S-tier offensive line to go on and win the damn thing. Defensively, getting older. Pepper's getting older. Duggar getting older. Uche getting older. Davis. All these guys facing little bits of regression, which kind of sucks. But the secondary still is the best in the NFL. No weaknesses on this defense. Hopefully we don't go 11 and wins and miss the playoffs again. That'd be brutal. Okay, I'm going to say this, just to be clear. At the midway point of the year, we were 6-2, and literally every other team in the division was 2-6. I'm like, all right, fine, easy, wrong. Still can't win the division. This has been certainly a rebuild, but we have the man that we traded multiple picks for in Tavares Doolittle. Is he worth the price of admission? Was he worth selling out for the final year of Bill Belichick's career before he rides off in the sunset? Did Bob Kraft make the right call? Well, he's a 6'5" X-Factor wide receiver. I guess in the context of Patriot players, he is our Randy Moss to our Tom Brady. He is the Doolittle to our May. Got to run the gauntlet, though. Heaven forbid we get a first-round bye. Also, look at the stats. It was weird year, I think. Drake Maye, still, that's kind of been what he's been, right? 30 touchdowns, under 10 picks. So that's maintaining the course there. Presley's been solid, maybe not the same style and the same kind of production that we're getting out of Ramondre Stevenson. No 1,000-yard receiver, but almost. And on the defensive side, Jamin Davis, who's actually been awesome. That's been our best free. We've signed, actually I don't want to say, because Gabe Davis has been great. But there's an argument to make Jamin Davis has been the best free agent we signed in this rebuild. 4 picks. We got 7.5 sacks from a nose tackle. Absurd. Parker's been solid. White's been I think the fact for our pass rushes, and we've had, it's out of 1 or 2 big years out of Matt Judon. We've just had kind of role players. No one ever really took, I want to be the best pass rusher on this team, and ran with it. Yearly awards, what do we got? Probably nothing too much. Well, top 5 for Drake Maye in MVP voting. And then for outright, oh, look at that. Cody Schrader. If you know, you know. Congrats to him. Offensive rookie there does go to Tavares Doolittle, who's already on the X Factor, so it's not really going to make that much of a difference. We get kicker of the year, Chad Ryland. This is it, so we might as well just take a look at the career stats. What we've accomplished through 5 years of rebuilding here. Drake Maye at 21,000 yards passing, 169 touchdowns. Has only thrown 28 picks in 5 years, which is incredible for an X Factor. Move over Aaron Rodgers for the touchdown interception ratio for a career. Presley, I'm going to start it for 2 years, 3,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, not too shabby. Drake Maye, probably in real life, a little bit more of a dual threat than what's been represented here in Madden, but I just don't think Patriots have a lot of QB scrambles in their playbook. Gabe Davis, 8,300 yards, 64 touchdowns, splitting most of his time with the Bills and us. 4,700 yards, 39 touchdowns for Demario Douglas. Great. We kind of set a goal to make him a thing, and he absolutely has been a thing. Isaac Rex, 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, only been a starting tight end for a year, and then Good Little, because he's good, but Doolittle. Awesome. What a pick. Jamin Davis up there. We got, in terms of sacks, Uche with 30. Again, just 3-4 defense. Don't get sacks. Kind of knew that coming in. T'Vondre Sweat. Those are outstanding numbers for a nose tackle. 74 TFLs, 26 sacks. I love it. 15 picks for Duggar, 15 for Gonzalez, 10 from Peppers, 3 from Mapu, Johnson with 3. A little disappointing there. But again, just a defense that, I'm going to be honest, if you're going to make like a cheesy sim defense, probably should be Bill Belichick's defense. Especially when I have the talent that we have to get no sacks, no picks. It's a little rough. But we start our gauntlet here in the wild card against the Bengals, who have the top 5 offense. Defense sucks. We have the number 2 overall defense. I mean, I'm prepared at this point, just being like, all right, first realistic rebuild is what it is. You know, we're not going to win a Super Bowl. It's not destined to be. But we're trying our best. And look at Mapu with a glitch picture, getting Defensive Player of the Week. And you know what? Shout out to him, man. He's been a role player. He's been here the whole time. Buy it in. Kind of be a part of a safety rotation versus an outright starter. 7 tackles, 2 forced fumbles. Hell yeah, big time hits. Game changer. So with that, we are now into the division round. We're taking on at least record-wise, very impressive Titans. Pretty evenly matched. Offenses are both solid, not great. Defenses are elite. I think for this matchup, we will spend our, obviously we should always be trying to spend these, but we'll spend our points TJ Parker. And watch that, watch Parker. He's going to get Defensive Player of the Week. He's going to get us 2 sacks. That 1 point that we just spent is going to be the difference. It's going to propel us into the AFC Championship game in a very ugly 16-14. But it sets up, I think this is the second time, man. We played the Bills for an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. I'm almost thinking we need to hop in here. Because at least, you know, if at least we cash in our 3 times to hop in and get on the sticks, at least we get ourselves into another Super Bowl. I don't know. I'm worried. And the reason why I'm worried, Josh Allen's pretty good. I mean, damn it, man. They're good. Can I live with myself if I sim this and we lose and I don't even get a chance to go to the Super Bowl? Versus if I play this, try our best to cheese our way to at least the Super Bowl, then we'd lose another one. You know, at least then we've had 2 swings. Because they're good, man. Nah, screw it. Please, come on. We paid our dues last year by going like 11 wins and not making the playoffs. Yes, sir. 21-14, and it's a meme Super Bowl again. Last time we went to the Super Bowl, we played the Eagles. Troll job there. Shout out Java Davis and Presley, and we lost to the Eagles. This time, the only other team from the NFC that has like legitimate history with the Patriots in the Super Bowl, we got the Giants. I mean, great opportunity for like a revenge game, right? Finally beat the Giants. Finally get a Super Bowl here in our 5th rebuild year, even though it might be technically year 6. All right, man, let's give them hell. I mean, what do they look like? What do they got? Terrible. Okay, so let's just take these numbers as we go into the sim. The Giants, 27th offensively. So if we see them put up 30-some points, we see them every time we score, they score. Sus. Defensively, also, not particularly great. They don't give up a lot of touchdowns, but 15th overall defensively. I think the stat to take is Giants offense sucks. Our defense is great. Should bode well for a win, right? Yep. Hopefully we get a good roll. We got Drake Maye. Is that Kyler Murray? I probably should have looked to see. I think it's Drake Maye versus Kyler Murray is the core. They still got Saquon, who's one of the best sim players in all. There's no way. That is not an accurate height representation. Drake Maye is like 6'5". Kyler Murray is 5'5". Opening drive. One of the worst offenses in the league. Get 3. We get a nice little shot play there. Finally, touchdown, 7-3. I mean, hey, their defense is pretty good. Our defense is at least making their offense look somewhat realistic, but okay, we're going to cash in one of our times here. Hopefully, 3rd and 10. Let's go with something in the slot. Demario Douglas in the slot. Oh, man, we also have Doolittle. I know I want to get the ball to him, but we need a touchdown here. Get a 1-point lead early. I don't like any of it. We're going to try to scramble here with Drake Maye. Little slow to react there. 27, the safety. And Drake Maye, the QB keeper. That'll be time 1 that I cash in. And we get the touchdown. They reward us. Love it. But as I said in the preview, what is the odds? This game is going to be every time we score, they find a way to score. And it feels kind of that is the trajectory we're going on. So we're going to come in for our second of 3, 3rd and 2. We got Doolittle in the slot. He's gigantic. Would love to hit him. Here we go. Holds on to the football. Touchdown, Patriots. Go ahead, score. But we all know that 27th ranked Giants offense is going to go down the field and get a touchdown here. Oh, they do not. We trade punts. 4th down. Here's when we come in. 4th and 13. I think out of all the players, we got to go to T'Vondre Sweat, who commands the double team on the inside, and they throw it to a wide open. No, we are staying with it live. They missed it, yes! I was going to say I'm coming back in for another play. But at the depths, finally revenge over the goddamn Giants in the Super Bowl. First realistic rebuild, the Madden 24 cycle. Did go to extra time here. Did have to squeeze out that bullshit gimme year at the end. But if it is a true 5-year rebuild, we won't always count the now starting point week 10 of year 1. It's a burn year. That helps out with more so draft pick, realistic draft pick position than anything else. Hell yeah, baby. Hell yeah, Drake Maye. Hell yeah, Bill Belichick going in. Final Super Bowl, final game, and putting it all together. The greatest coach of all time, right? I think that's fair to say. But Drake Maye, probably the best quarterback we've had so far in a Madden 24 rebuild. So we'll absolutely take that. And remember what I asked at the very beginning. I think Chicago should be our next realistic rebuild. But what do we do? Do we utilize those 2 likely top 5, at worst top 10 picks and move on from Justin Fields? Or do we keep Justin Fields and use those 2 picks to build around Justin Fields? I need to know in the comments, because that is what we're going to be recording next. But that will do it for me here today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Realistic Rebuilds are back in Madden 24. I hope you guys enjoyed. If it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoy. Leave a comment how you felt about this, if you're happy for the Patriots, what team you may want to see after the Bears. But for sure, just give me that feedback on the Chicago Bears so I know what you guys want to see for that. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out. Love ya. Have a good one.